Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Stella Herself podcast. As always, thank you so much for tuning in this week. It's the last episode of the month, so I'm so excited to reflect on the month and get ready for April. April's tomorrow as of I'm posting this. I film on Mondays and I post on Thursdays, so I have that time to edit, or if I don't happen to be able to film on Monday, then I can film Tuesday, But yeah, so it's as I'm filming this, it's the last week of the month and the start of April. So bitch, time is flying. That's great. But thank you so much for tuning in another week. If this is your first time listening, welcome. New episodes every Thursday, available on all platforms. So follow along, keep up. I love hearing your guys' feedback, hearing what topics you resonated with. I feel like especially recently, and maybe it's really been since my Discord server has been popping, which join that, by the way. The community is still strong. We chat in it every day. But a lot of you have just been so amazing and great about sharing your own thoughts on the topics that I discuss. And I know, I can't say it enough, but I'm just so grateful to have this community where I feel like we all relate, and I don't feel like you guys are just only my followers, but I feel like we're a community, because it's yeah, I'm the one making the podcast, but it's I wouldn't even know what to talk about or what to say if it wasn't for you guys giving me feedback and just us having a conversation, So people, especially in the Discord, but also in my DMs and in comments, have just been so great about sharing their own thoughts and experiences on what we talk about, and I just really, really love that. So thank you guys so much. Thank you to everyone who shared the podcast on their story last week. Shout out to Alex, who had a really cute story of a little palm tree scenery with the podcast in the corner. That was so cute and aesthetic. So if you have an aesthetic story, I would love to see. Even if you don't, if you just screenshot it, I would still love to see that, because I love to see who listens. And also I just really appreciate it when you guys share the podcast. That's amazing, and I can't thank you enough. Not only are you listening, you're also going out of your way to share it. Thank you so much. So anyway, beverage check. Let me know what you guys are drinking down below. It's really rainy here in LA today, this Monday, which I knew it was going to be. It said all last week when it was 90 degrees, rain Monday. So I'm prepared mentally. But I just have a little Americano, just a single shot of espresso. I'm not really loving it. I'm kind of spoiled of my Starbucks I've been getting so much recently, but it's also hot. And I just didn't have any sweetener, so it's not hitting, but I do want to clean after this. So I was oh, it's just not really good at all. But then I also have some of my leftover decaf that is sweet from yesterday. And this also was not good because there wasn't enough ice in it. So I'm just going through it with my drinks. But let me know what you're drinking down below. Hopefully tomorrow it's not raining, so I am more well, I don't have to go get a coffee every day, but the thing is, I forgot to get ice at the store, and also I just need, if you guys, okay, this is the thing. I was making simple syrup, is that what it's called when you just when you just put sugar and water on the stove and you make it's simple syrup, right? But it would get moldy every time I would try to store it. So how do you store it? Because when I would either put it on the counter or in the fridge, it would get moldy. But if you guys get a syrup to sweeten your coffee with, I don't really care for a flavor necessarily, but just a simple syrup. Where do you guys get it from? Let me know, because I would definitely be more likely to make my own drinks at home if I had ice and the sweetener. Make my own coffees. Anyway, but also y'all know I've always said this. There's something about just going to get a coffee that is just a quaint experience in itself, I'm more likely to go take a walk, get out of the house if I'm gonna get a little treat. So I'm not really I don't know. Anyway, so let me know your beverages, and I also have my handy dandy water. Of course, stay hydrated. Y'all, I had the best leg day earlier. It's just, when you finally yeah, just thank God. Anyway, I just want to talk about my weekend really quick and kind of give an update from last week's podcast. Because if y'all remember last week, I was a little hungover and I was just talking about anxiety and alcohol. And then I was just about to start my period as well. I later found out, so I think it just added to everything. But I definitely have Okay, this is like an anxiety talk / weekend talk / alcohol talk. So I definitely wanted to get out of the house this weekend because I was just in the house all week. I did not have the greatest week. And something I've really realized about myself is that if I'm alone in the house for too long, my anxiety definitely gets worse. So then it's like when I finally go to leave the house, I just have so much anxiety. Like the world just feels almost like overwhelming and like it's hard. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like there's like I've probably talked about this before. Let me know if you relate, but I feel like there's like, and also the whole like internal monologue thing. Like, have you heard about that? Where like, oh, some people don't have an internal monologue. So for me, it's like if I'm at home all day, just like by myself working, like sometimes I'll be on the phone, but like I'm by myself. It's like, I feel like I definitely have that internal monologue where like, I'm talking to myself in my head or like whatever. But then when I'm out, like around other people, like actually living life and having experiences, I don't really feel like I have that. And it's like, I feel like I usually have a lot less anxiety. Not always, like sometimes. And yeah, like, I don't know. It's like if I've been in the house for too long, it's like then I'm that kind of internal monologue, like too much in my head self out in the world. And it's like not compatible. Like then the anxiety just gets amplified because I'm like, whoa, where am I? But even before, like, I even really knew what that was. I just always kind of noticed that, like, or like, oh, I remember even like in middle school, like, now I know, like, I had anxiety to go, to this person's house for the first time, like to a new friend's house. And I'd be like, oh, I don't want to go. Like, and then I'd go and like, it'd be fine. And then like, once you kind of get into the rhythm of it, like, okay, let me know if you relate. I saw a TikTok about that last week too. Like this girl talking about how she always starts off with cardio at the gym to kind of just like have her nervous system adapt to the new environment. It's like, oh, so it's not just me. But let me know if you relate to that. It's kind of like all those things in one. So anyway, I really wanted to get out of the house, and I just noticed, on weeks when I do get out of the house more and I'm like doing stuff and I'm making plans with people, I have less anxiety. So there was that. But with that being said, I did not want to like drink. I did not want to like be hungover. Not like necessarily not drink at all, but I just did not want to get like drunk. So update from last weekend, if y'all remember, I was like hungover in my podcast. I was just like, oh, y'all, like, I hate this. And I was talking about anxiety and how, like, I definitely feel like my hangovers have gotten worse, even though I'm still, like, fairly young. Like, it's not what it was, like, a few years ago. So, proud to say, I went out Saturday and did not get drunk and was not hungover. Bitch, let me tell you what I did. Number one, because I was kind of talking about this last week, but now it's like I actually did it. So let me tell you exactly what I did. If you want to go out, and I mean, if you can just go out and if you don't want to drink at all, like, period. But maybe these tips can help you with that too. But it's like sometimes I want to be out, or it's like cool to have like a couple drinks or whatever, but it's like I don't like, people will be handing me shots. Like when you go to the club or like kind of a more like that kind of environment, not just like a chill, I'm with my friends, but like when people are just like, when you're at a table, people keep handing you shots, like, it's like, okay, this is what you do. Number one, and I said this last week, but like having the intention before you even go that I don't want to get drunk, I don't want to drink too much, or maybe just I don't want to drink at all. Having the intention. Because if I know going into it, that's my plan, then I can proceed. I need to have a plan. Number two, have a beverage in your hand at all times. So if you don't want to drink at all, this could just be like a water and like a lime, or a soda water and lime, like something that's going to kind of look like a drink. If someone, like what I did is, when I first got there, someone handed me a shot. I just poured juice in it and I just held it. I didn't take any shots. Having a drink in my hand, because then if someone hands you something, you're like, oh, I already have some. Like, I'm okay. I'm okay. My friend did this. When you go to the bathroom, pour some of the drink out, or just pour the drink out. Leave it there. I kind of feel like sometimes I like kind of having a cup in my hand, so maybe just pour some of it out. But there's that. Drinking water. What else did I do? Having the drink count. Y'all know I've talked about this, but whether it's mental or like on your notes app, or some people write like check marks on their hand. I usually do it mentally or just like on my notes app. But just keeping track of how many drinks you've had, and especially if you're taking shots, you just need to know so you can also like drink however much water you need to with that. And yeah, it worked out perfectly, and it was just like at no point was I drunk, so I don't want to say, but I was like drinking. I think I probably had like 2 or 3 drinks, which is like so much less than the weekend before, and it worked out perfectly. So it's not like I didn't drink, but I was definitely just like aware at all times, and even just like drinking that much less, it's just so interesting. And I'm sure if you don't drink, or you've gone out and haven't drank or drank way less, but just seeing all the bullshit that goes on around you and just how like disgusting people can be, like especially bros, and just like you just notice all the little shit that you wouldn't notice otherwise. So this is definitely my new lifestyle, because I really hate being hungover like that, bro. And it's just like the anxiety really like afterwards for me that like is really preventing me from like wanting to ever do that again. And so I know, and so maybe I'm like getting this like wrong. Maybe anxiety is not the proper term, but someone replied or said something to me, messaged me about that podcast, and was talking about their anxiety and how for them it's like really like, oh, like did I say something bad last night, like like, oh, did I make anyone upset, like kind of more related about like how I acted, or like, oh, did I do something? But I feel like for me it's so much, I mean, I've definitely experienced that, but it's just like the sensation of anxiety throughout the whole next day or even couple days, like not so much like worrying about like, oh, did I say something wrong, or like did I look stupid, but like I'm just feeling anxious, like my heart is racing, I'm like sweating, I'm like just have that like anxiety feeling, even though I don't necessarily have any like bad thoughts. It's just like physically like I'm just like ew. And that's very common, and you can prevent it by not drinking or not drinking that much. So that's my plan. I do want to have fun this summer. I do like going out, and I like being around people. That's why I'm like, sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm very introverted, but then I'm like, I don't really think so, because like I definitely need to be around. And I mean, we all need to be around people to a certain extent, even if you are very introverted. We're human, we're social people. Like even if it's just around one person, like your best friend or someone you're very comfortable with, like we all need to be around people to a certain extent. But I'm like, I really feel more like myself and more like normal when I'm like around people. Not all the time, obviously. I need like sometimes just to myself, like leave me the fuck alone. But but learning this new method and just really being aware, I guess, just having such the contrast between last weekend and this weekend, it's like, okay, now we know what to do, and I can just do that moving forward. And like, yeah, because it's like I like to have a good time, but I don't like to feel like shit. So yeah, let me know if you relate. Let me know if you went out last weekend, if you're going out this weekend. And yeah, and also it's just fun. I like getting cute, I like getting ready, I like taking pics, and I like posting stories when I'm out. So it's just like everything. Anyway, let me know if you relate. But yeah, also just on the subject of anxiety, I had another anxiety experience. So basically I was going to get a wax, and I don't know, sometimes I don't know, it's not so much the wax as like I can just like get anxiety, period. So and I've talked about this before, but the like, basically I read something. Let me get my thoughts straight. One of the big ways to get past anxiety or to get through it is, you have to train your brain that the things that you feel anxious about aren't actually a threat or aren't actually dangerous. So the only way you're able to do that is by doing them, which sucks and can be very uncomfortable and hard and even scary, but that's just what we have to do. And I talked about this before. What was that article called? Like Confidence Over Anxiety. And this basically put like a more of a like scientific name to it. But basically it's like CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy, right? But I was reading an article about that, and how just the different techniques that therapists use in regards to like panic disorder and anxiety. and even like agoraphobia, which is like the fear of leaving your house, just because me, like, yeah, sometimes it's scary to leave the house if I've been in the hospital. So that's what we want to prevent. But basically they said something like short circuiting. You have to short circuit the anxiety. So, you know, when you're feeling anxious about something, you practice techniques like, you know, things I'm sure you've heard of before if you've ever struggled with anxiety. But, you know, like focusing on relaxing all of your muscles, slowing your breathing deep, and just becoming mindful of your thoughts. Because so often we can have like a triggering thought that then, you know, makes our body start to go into that fight or flight mode and, you know, cause anxiety. So I know for me, sometimes it's like, oh, like I'll just think like, what if I have an anxiety attack? And then I'll start to like feel anxious. It's like, this is literally the opposite of what we want to happen. So when you're doing like techniques like this, it's like, okay, if I think that, I can like have the awareness to be like, okay, well, it's just a thought, like, and especially reading articles about it when it like puts it into concrete terms and explains what's happening. Then when you're experiencing it yourself, it's like, oh, that's what that is. And this is what's happening right now. So it's not like I need to be scared, but it's more like, oh, here's that again. Okay, let me do my techniques of like relaxing my body, again, deep breathing, mindfulness of thoughts and like how your thoughts can affect your body and how you feel. Yeah, I think those are like the main things, but really just focusing on like relaxing your body. And for me, it's like very much putting myself back in my body and getting out of my head. And that can really, I remember reading the book, that can just be applied to so many situations, but I remember reading the book Come As You Are, which is about sex. This is going on YouTube, so I need to be a little like, but you know how, especially for so many women, it can be hard to achieve the big O because we're just really in our heads. And, you know, some of that is nature and some of that is nurture, you know. We're insecure about our bodies, you know. We're expected to perform a certain way or look a certain way, act a certain way, sound a certain way. And so therefore, we're like not in our bodies experiencing pleasure, but instead we're in our heads, like thinking of ways that we can perform better and look better to our partner. So when you're able to put yourself back in your body, it's like you're able to relax, be in the moment, and when you're having anxiety, chill the fuck out. When you're having a special time, you're able to actually enjoy yourself and like know what feels good, etc. And therefore achieve what you're trying to achieve versus just being stressed out. So getting out of your head, back into your body. And just that term short-circuiting, like short-circuiting your anxiety, that's been so helpful ever since I read that last week. Like every time I've kind of been experiencing like a little anxiety, especially when I'm like out and about or about to do something like go get a wax or like, I don't know. It's like, oh yeah, I need to I'll just think to myself, oh yeah, I need to short-circuit this. Practice the techniques. Because it's like, if I'm gonna think about it and keep focusing on it, like it's just gonna make it worse. So it's like, oh, nope. And then your body's like, oh yeah. And I literally, like yesterday, just felt it stop. And I just felt like, I know for me, when I feel calm, it's like my whole body feels warm and like everything just feels like it's flowing and it's normal. I'm not really paying attention to my breathing because it's just happening naturally and like at a good rhythm. And I'm just not like uncomfortable. Like I feel like when I have anxiety, I'm just very like, I can't sit still. Like it's just like, ew. But when I'm just relaxed, it's like, oh, I'm chill. And it literally happened. And I don't know if you guys remember me talking about this before, but it was like when I was walking to go get a COVID test or something, and I had some really just bad anxiety. It felt like randomly, but probably it was just like everything going on. And I literally just stopped on the street and I was like, I want to go home so bad right now, but I'm not. I have to go get this COVID test. So I'm just going to sit here and watch IG stories until I feel calm. And I literally did. It didn't even take more than like a minute, probably, maybe a couple minutes. But then I was like, took some deep breaths. I was like, okay, kept walking. And then it's like my heart rate slowed. I felt normal. My body felt warm again. Like my hands felt warm and not like that weird numb feeling. So short-circuiting your anxiety, something to think about. I'll link the specific article I read down below. I think it was from a therapist's place in Los Angeles, but it was just really helpful. Like, and it was all stuff I had kind of heard about before, but I don't know, it just has really been helping me over the past week. So if you deal with anxiety, know that you're not alone, bitch. And there are ways to overcome it. And then also just with my new supplements of magnesium, that's really been helping. The CBD, of course. I'm still taking the good mood drops and then kava sometimes. But just finding, ways. And that's why I really have been I don't want to drink, because that's such a easy way to not feel anxious. But it's it makes you feel so much worse after. And then it can just become, so easy to just go to that if you're feeling anxious. But it's no, I want to be able to actually deal with this internally and not just mask the symptoms of it, so yeah, and that's why bitch, the magnesium especially has been such a great addition. I don't take it every day, but just if I'm going, I took it before my wax because I was I just don't even want to do this right now, but I'm gonna take my magnesium, have a little chill walk. Yeah, it's just been really helpful. So, and also staying consistent with meditation. I honestly have not been that consistent with yoga, y'all, because it's just sometimes I just feel it's too much things in the morning to do, but I still want to get back into it. But definitely meditating, even if I don't have the time in the morning to do a 20 to 1 hour yoga, I can always find time for a 10 to 20 minute meditation, and that just helps a lot too. So all of these things, it's they really do make a difference, and especially cutting down on caffeine. So I'm just imagining someone listening to this who's never experienced anxiety and just what the fuck is this bitch going through? But I know a lot of people relate, so let me know your tips and tricks down below. But I just want to I just want everything, what's holistic, everything in my life is supporting me and making me feel good, Okay, so next topic, also very relatable. Queen Demi on IG, love her so much. She's always so supportive and just an OG. She's just, oh, bitch, love you, love you. But she wanted me to talk about dating just to date. And I think she was, I said her at, so I don't want to give away her tea. But basically, even if there's someone you're not necessarily interested in, it's do I still just go on a date with them to see? Even if I have no intention of being with them or taking it serious, what's the vibe? Is that okay to do? So I had a few thoughts about this, but wait, I want to find this article too that I was referencing. Okay. But first of all, there's this girl on TikTok. I think it's Maha Maven, but she has really good advice videos when it comes to dating. Especially, I feel they're all pretty much geared towards women. But just what to do and having standards and setting boundaries, and yeah, I feel it's very that kind of advice and not toxic advice, at least what I've seen. Maybe she has something in her, but I feel for the most part it's very uplifting and solid advice, not just wait to text them back. So she made a video about dating for experience, and how dating is a process of gathering data, and to just not really be so outcome driven when it comes to dating, because, especially when we go on a date with someone we really like, it's we start imagining them being our boyfriend, and maybe some of us imagine having kids with them or getting married to them, and it's we just kind of want to jump into that, or we start kind of painting a picture of them in our minds of who we think they're gonna be based on one date, and it's you don't really know them fully yet. So it's okay, maybe you're excited about someone, but let's try another date. But with that being said, you can also kind of use that with maybe someone you're not that excited about. But the other thing about this, though, is I feel every time I've not really been that interested in going on a date with someone, there was some kind of reason why, even if I didn't realize the reason at the very beginning. It's I end up going, and then I realize okay, this is why I didn't want to go. It was my intuition kind of telling me no, you're not going to like this guy, or this guy's going to do something to piss you off, or he has bad intentions, or just something's off about him. But I don't know. I feel you just have to kind of trust yourself. But I think that would be my reason for not going on a date with someone is okay, well, why did I have this first reaction of no, I don't want to? And is it just because like, oh, they're not like my typical type? Or is it like, I'm getting kind of a bad vibe, or like, he seems annoying, or he seems kind of pushy, or like he seems kind of insecure, or like, am I just doing this because I feel bad for him? So it would be more like that. I would advise don't, rather than like I would never say like, you should only be dating for marriage, and like you should only date someone if you know you see a future with them. Like, no. Like, you can, if you're just kind of curious about someone, like, I think there's no harm in going on a date, because that's like how you learn about what you like and what you don't like. And, you know, if anything, it's like a good story time for the group chat or for the Stella Ray Discord, you know. But just kind of trusting your own intuition is just so important, because like, I don't know, like, I'm trying to think, but like, one time, I don't know if y'all remember this story time about this guy that like asked me to go to dinner, and then he literally ended up talking about himself the whole time. It was like so bad. And I remember at first, like, I didn't really want to go. I was like kind of tired, and like I just wasn't that excited about it. And I just like, I was like, well, at least he's like offering to take me to dinner and not just like, oh, like, let's link sometime, or like, let's hang out. So I was like, okay, like, I'll just go to dinner and see. But it ended up being so bad. And then he was so pushy at the end to like try to get me to go to his apartment. Like, at first he was like, oh, like, I make a really good margarita. Like, I actually live right next door to here. And I was like, oh, that's why he chose this place. And I was like, no, I don't go to like people's houses that I just met, or like on a first date. And then he was like, well, can we at least just like go to a bar? Like, I don't want the night to end yet. It was like gross. And I literally blocked him after. And like, he obviously was not reading the room, because I was literally like so uninterested. And then he was texting me, I think like that night or later the next day, like, oh, so what are you doing this weekend? Like, it's like, are you dumb? Like, it was so bad. Like, oh my God. I literally fantasized about like, if I could go back, like how I would just like leave, like go to the bathroom and like just leave. But anyway, so, I mean, that's an example of like, I feel like my intuition was telling me this guy's not for you. Like, there's a reason you don't feel enthusiastic about this and you actually don't want to go. But again, that's different than like, I don't know, maybe another reason you wouldn't want to like go out with someone. I don't know. It's just like, so just like rant sesh, but it's sometimes so hard to date, because like straight guys, so many of them are just like so horrible. It's like, I wish it was just as easy as like, if you go on a date, the worst thing that I can think of is like, oh, like maybe, you know, this isn't the person for me. But it's like, no, I have to deal with you being pushy and rude at the end, or like you just being like overly sexual and like thirsty, or like you saying something, I don't know, misogynistic or like homophobic or something in the middle of her date. Or like, I don't know, it's just like there's so many things that can go wrong. That it's like, it's not just like, oh, a little mishap. Like, it's like, this is actually like a big red flag. So like, quick rant. Yeah, I feel like I'm just really like in a place right now where I just don't really want to entertain anyone unless like I'm like, wow, like you have to really just like stand out to me, and just like, because I'm just like, I don't know, and I've said this before to y'all, but I feel like dating should be fun, and that's not really like how I'm personally feeling currently. So just a little personal tea for you. This girl on TikTok also had this really great quote. She said, which was, some of the best experiences end with you walking away, you know, because you learn and you know what to do next time or what not to do next time. And yeah, so my final answer is, you know, yes, I think it's great to date just to date and to gain experience and to meet different people and to, you know, just even go on different dates. Like, there's just so many fun things you can do. But if it's like an intuition thing and you're like, I don't know about this, then you try to convince yourself like, well, I should just go. I should just I should go on this date because you never know, it might be a funny story, but a part of you is like, listen to that, you know? But then, so I found this article on bold.com by this girl that said, I'm no longer dating just for fun. Here's why. As fun as dating can be, there comes a point when we ask ourselves, what the hell am I doing this for? especially when the process becomes stressful and downright annoying. We go on date after date and realize that we're going after guys that we already know we have no future with. Why? Just to pass the time? Okay, so number 1, I know what I want. Once you know what you want, it's kind of hard to convince yourself to be with someone who isn't it. The dating pool gets a lot more shallow and your options significantly decrease. But there's nothing wrong with being picky. It just means I won't settle for less. I kind of feel that, low-key. I don't want to waste my time. I shouldn't be moving my schedule around or bending over backwards for someone who I'm just casually dating. No one said you had to do that, but yeah. I'm ready for a relationship. If you're dating with an end goal in mind, then you're not dating for fun. Dating for a purpose is completely different than just going with the flow. I'm ready for a relationship, so I need it to be with a guy who's on the same page. But how are you gonna I feel like there's a difference between going on first dates and meeting different people and then just not setting boundaries and oh yeah, I like you and you're not ready for a relationship. Oh yeah, me neither, even though that's something you do want. I feel like this article is kind of making it seem like it has to be all or nothing, but it's how are you going to date with an end goal in mind if you're oh, I'm not allowed to date? What? I'm in it for the long haul. Dating for fun always has an expiration date. If a guy ever tells me we're just having fun, then I take him at his word. He's communicating he doesn't see this going anywhere. That's true. Y'all, you really need to listen to what they do. Don't listen to what they say. There's this other guy on TikTok, Pretty Boy KB1, I think. He be having the real tea about what the bros are thinking, so follow him too. But it's very much do you really think a guy who cared about you would say that to you or treat you like that? The answer is usually no. Dating for fun actually isn't fun. There's nothing really fun about hooking up or dating someone that I don't care about. Okay, so this is the thing. You can date, go on a first date, maybe even go on another date. And that doesn't mean you're, involved and having, a situationship and, hooking up and, doing all this relationship stuff with no title. There's different stages to dating, And, as long as you know what you want, which maybe what you want is I just want to gain different experiences. I want to have experiences. I want to learn. I want to meet different people. Maybe you're what you want is a serious relationship. Either way, or whatever it is, you can set boundaries and you can just be firm with what you want, communicate that, be honest, leave it red flags, or communicate. If someone is trying to step over your boundaries, block them. I low-key feel this article is making it seem oh, you're either in a messy situationship where you're getting your feelings hurt, or you're looking for a serious relationship. It's chill. There's a lot of other options. Okay. I'm not getting any younger. So true. Yeah, so it's this girl is talking about how she wants a relationship and all that stuff, but it's how are you gonna get that if you don't go on a date? Or how are you gonna get to that point if you're not at that point? But yeah, so don't be in a little situationship if that's not what you want. Anyway, so those are my thoughts on that. I would love to hear what you think. And also, what does dating mean to you? Because again, there's different stages of dating. There's someone asks you to dinner. Do I go? I don't really know if I see a future with this guy or if I really like him, but fuck it, let's just go see. And then there's oh yeah, this guy and I are dating and he just says he's not ready for a relationship, but I know I can convince him otherwise. It's okay, you're actually delusional. So anyway, that's kind of my thoughts. But yeah, I think there's no harm in dating for experience and to meet people and yeah, but at the same time I do feel it should be fun. So I know I've gotten questions from other girls who are I want to give up on dating, and it's bro, you're allowed to take a break. Truly, honestly. It's fine. You don't need to be And then once, you know, someone catches your interest or once you want to kind of get back out there, like you can. But it's just so much more enjoyable when it is fun and like when you are kind of like in the mood to do it, because otherwise it's just like a drag, like annoying. And if I'm annoyed, I'm not going to like attract the best people for me because I'm just going to be annoyed. Anyway, that's my thoughts on that. So let me know down below what's your current vibe. And yeah. So as we reach the end of this month and the beginning of April, you know, I have my little Magic of I astrology planner, and there's always a page at the beginning of each month. I still need to fill it out, but it's the goals for April and then the intentions, and then each week is broken down. So for me, what I've been doing is on one side of each week, I'll put like goals I have for each week. So that could be like finishing a book, or like one week it was like, oh, post my first YouTube short. Ooh. And then on the other side, I've been writing down like what I do that week, like just things that stood out, like a new restaurant I tried, or like, I don't know if it was someone's birthday party, or like, I don't know, this weekend I did tennis for the first time in so long. So I wrote that down just to kind of like keep track. And I'm just like excited to look back at the end of the year, like everything I did, because it's, you know, I feel like sometimes it's easy to remember big stuff, like if we took a trip or like someone's birthday, you know. But then like week by week, like I'm not necessarily going to remember what I was doing at this exact week last year, you know, but this is just really helping me like keep track of all of that. And especially with like, well, I mean, with everything, but then I originally started doing it as a way to track like different restaurants or bars or coffee shops that I tried. Because so often, like, let me know if you relate, but it's like, I've lived here for so long. Well, 5 going on 6 years. And I will still be like, well, I don't really know, like, where have I even ever ate? Like, or it's like, oh, we should go to a bar. What bar? Like, one comes to mind. So now I can just, like, consult my handy-dandy notebook. And yeah, I've been doing it this whole year so far. So even if you don't have this journal, I would recommend, like, just trying to keep track in some way. It's been really fun. And even already, like, I'm looking back like, wow, I forgot that happened that week. Triggering. So I would really recommend this planner. Not spons. My mom got it for me for Christmas, but it's just been so cool to like keep track. But again, you can just do it in a regular notebook or like even on your phone or whatever. So yeah, I haven't read a book the past couple weeks because the library still has not gotten my books in stock. So I think I might just have to find another one to put on hold that has less weights on it, because I really miss reading, and especially last week when it was really nice out. I mean, hopefully it's nice later this week. And I was like going on my roof a lot and just like sitting in the sun. Like I missed having a book to read. So hopefully I can read a lot of books in April to kind of make up for these past couple weeks. But I'm still ahead of my reading goal for the year, so whatever. What else? I have to really like sit down and reflect and like think about it. But yeah, this year is really flying by. So I think also what I would urge you guys to do, no pressure or anything, but low-key pressure, is just like I mean, I know we all have that like to-do list that's very just like, it's like, okay, we don't need to do this now, like it's not immediate, but it's like, well, we should probably do that. Like for me, for a long time, it was like, find a good dentist. So I knew starting this year, I was like, I need to do that. I did it. I got a bunch of stuff taken care of. Now I have a good dentist that I have a cleaning scheduled for August, bitch. It was also like some investing stuff I wanted to do that was on my to-do list forever. Finally getting the ball rolling on that. Getting my driver's license, definitely on the list. What else? But just like stuff like that. Cleaning out my closet. It's just like, do it now, because you'll thank yourself in the long run. Or like, I don't know, if you need to get a physical or like go to the guy now, get a pap. It's just really important to get that done sooner rather than later. And once you cross that off, it's like, yeah, low-key, as I've realized as the year goes on, there's always something that we need to do, you know, but it's just, it feels good to cross something off your list, especially when it's like not that, I mean, it always feels good when it's like a high urgency thing, but even when it's just like a chill, like not even chill, but just like, okay, not immediate, crossing that off, it's like, okay, I don't have to deal with that anymore until I have to again. And then it's like just doing something just like makes you realize you can do it and it wasn't that big of a deal. And then so next time you have to do it, like next time you have to go to the dentist or next time you have to, I don't know, do something with the bank, it's like, okay, well, I just did that like a few months ago, so, and it wasn't that bad, so I'm not going to put it off. I'm not going to be as likely to put it off for so long this time. So just do anything that you have to do, especially now that it's, Aries season and spring, that start of the new astrological cycle, and just that new fresh energy. It's just such a great time to, do our spring cleaning, whether that's literally going through a closet or crossing things off your to-do list, blocking people, archiving your old IG pics. I don't know what your thing is. But yeah, so let me know how it's going. I can't wait to like really sit down and like plan April and just like even just reviewing March. Yeah, I just really feel the like self growth vibes this year, and just like, I don't know, like I'm turning 24 this year, and it's like, damn, that means in a year I'll be 25. And like, I just feel like life is kind of getting a little more serious. Like, I've always been, someone who's responsible, and like I've always felt mature in that way, but like now I'm like, shit's really getting real. And I just want to be on top of my shit and like make things as easy for myself as possible. And that sometimes means you gotta do your fucking annoying to-do list that you literally don't want to do at all. So anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. Let me know what you want me to talk about next week. My DMs are open. My Discord is open. It's like down below if you're not a part of it already. But I'm about to get some work done, clean, do my little Shein haul. Also, I've been vlogging recently again on YouTube, so check that out if you haven't. And yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Don't forget to screenshot, post on your story, and I will see you guys next Thursday. Bye, everyone.